The competition is going to start any minute from now. Please make sure that all of your communicating devices are well equipped with stable internet connection. Please turn on your camera throughout the entire debate session and mute your microphone when you are not speaking. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and very good evening to all. Welcome to Mastery Debate 2020 organized by Generic for Keresihe. All debaters, please take note that these are the rules and regulations that must be followed throughout the competition. The debate session will be conducted involving two teams, the proposition team and the opposition team with 4 speakers each. The first speaker is the leader of the team. The second speaker is the deputy leader of the team. The third speaker is the proposition or opposition whip. The fourth speaker is the proposition or opposition reply. During the competition, a debating topic will be given by the chairperson from the range of the topic selected. The stand of the team to be proposition or opposition will be determined simultaneously. Each given 10 minutes for the discussion phase. Each speaker is given 5 minutes for the presentation phase. A single ring to signal the half time for both discussion and presentation phase. 2 rings to signal the last 30 seconds for both discussion and presentation phase. 3 rings to signal the time up for both discussion and presentation phase. The speakers are advisable to use any form of information searching device such as mobile phones, articles, books, and etc. to find information regarding the topic of the debate. The debater can ask for clarification or definition of the word in the topic given. Throughout the competition, point of interest, a short interjection in the form of questions that can be asked by the speakers. To interject, one must raise the hand or manifest any polite gesture before offering a question of POI to his or her opponent courteously. If the opponent allows the interjection, the speaker can start presenting his POI immediately. The POI is usually 15 seconds long or about 2 sentences. The speaker should respond to the question. The speaker can reject the interjection by saying no, thank you, or any other form of rejection. POI must be open-ended or lead the argument of the topic. Debaters must wear appropriate and presentable outfit throughout the competition. Debaters must use proper greeting and English language that is grammatically correct throughout the debate session. No foul exchange or language is allowed through the debate session. The competition will be recorded and uploaded on Generic for Keresihe YouTube channel to evaluate by the panel of judges. Now, let me introduce and determine the stand of speakers from both teams. The proposition team will be Busur Raksa from Team 2. The first speaker is Imran Haris bin Mazalan. The second speaker is Gurpuran Singh, anak lelaki Ahmad Singh. The third speaker is Pascalas Ghani. The fourth speaker is Jessvigil Qwency Leong. The position team will be Kelewang Nilam from Team 2. The first speaker is Nathaniel Danta, anak Sanada. Second speaker is Sarah Alicia binti Shahrizal. The third speaker is Steven anak Josali. And the fourth speaker is Radna Rafina binti Fadli. So today is student activism or involvement of students in politics they allowed without any consequences. That is repeat. Student activism or involvement of students in politics should be without any consequence. Now, I'm going to ask for clarification or definition of the words in the topic given. Okay. Speakers from both teams, are you ready?
Yes.
Okay. Your 10 minutes discussion phase starts now. Time. Without further ado, may I invite the first speaker from the government, Imran Haris bin Mazalan, to present his point of view.
Hi, can you hear me? Can anyone hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So hang on. Okay. So I'll start now. Okay. There are many ways to solve a problem. In the catastrophic world we're living in, we need solutions or an antidote to say to these mind-boggling problems. No matter how unprecedented the workaround is, taking 2 steps forward requires you to leave something behind. So good evening to the members of the floor. I am the Prime Minister for the side government with the motion student activism or involvement of students in politics should be allowed without consequences. So let me preface my speech by signposting it. So before that, I will be stating my definition, parameter, stance, problem statement, policy, and one argument. So to start, my definition of this motion. So activism, according to Oxford, is an event to bring out political change. So, and consequence is a result or effect which is usually unpleasant. So our parameters is around leisure, and our stance is that we believe that students should have a voice in politics. University students should have a voice in politics. So our problem right now is that we have power-hungry old people in the parliament. So our policy is that university students can hold political events without repercussion. So our main point is that so moving on to my main point, the young can be new voice of the country. So why is this true? So we're young. We're university students. We're young, so we can take we can take new things more better. We are more creative. We're more innovative when it comes to solving problems. So we have more problems. So we have more answers than we can give to the government. So and then more on that, we have more liberal ideas that conform to the newer generation. Like in the newer generation, we have progressive ideas such as transgenderism, transgenderism, and yeah, same-sex marriage and such. So why is it important? So we live in a generation where the government is very old compared to the new compare the old generation and the younger parliament members in our government, the Malaysian government. The younger members are very small in number. So in our opinion, this causes closed-mindedness or an echo chamber effect, wherein they cannot take in more progressive ideas. They want to be more conservative, in a sense. So the effect is that So the effect is that the younger generations they'll be more aware of what the government is doing, what they're doing wrong, what they're doing right, and most importantly, exposing the very crucial information that the people need to hear. So it had, these newer ideas that contradict the old generation, which are generally more less conservative. They're more liberal policies that might not be applicable to that might not be accepted by the current parliament. Our correlation, the correlation to my point, to the motion, is that by giving the younger generation a voice, they're involved in politics more than they ever before. So to conclude, I've stated my definition, my parameters, my stance, my problem, my policy, and my one argument. So thank you for listening.
Thank you, Haris. Now, I would like to call upon the leader of the opposition team, Nathaniel Danta Anak Sanada, to present his argument.
Hello, everyone. The first point that I would like to rebut about the government's proposition, this is that students' involvement in social activism should come without any repercussions. By using the definition that is stated, that activism is bringing up change that that's majority. Yes, majority, they want to bring change in result. I mean, the being changed in the ideas that they have. For example, students want students is having a problem with any kind of problem. For example, they want a change for their voice. This is because it's prevalent in some other countries that they wanted to voice opinions where they feel like they are in a bad situation, that they are not taken care of. And I agree that students need to voice out their opinions and talk to the matter, which is the elephant in the room. But it says that by the definition, the activism usually comes by not ending in a positive outcome, because young people, students, aren't actually caliber enough to give a more structured and morally right ideas. And just like you said, the liberal ideas that students have, for example, that you said, like transgenderism and same-sex, usually that's conflicting with the what's in our area, Malaysians parameter, which is that by law, using the law in hand, and in Malaysian's law rule, that same-sex marriage and transgenderism are not approved in Malaysia. And yeah, by law you cannot, because it's in institution, you cannot refute or change the idea of that. Being said that, without clear path that students want to achieve, that can lead to a dangerous situation, like blinding a sheep with no guiding ships with no masters, then they'll put them in a bad spot. And let me give you a brief introduction into why students shouldn't be able to vote, because as you can see, as you in my opinion, students aren't unable enough to think critically, or aren't even mature yet than the older generations, because like you said, in the parliament there's only a few young representatives that represent the younger generations in the parliament. So that is why there's less people that less students that 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 is capable enough to be a leader. um, and yeah, because of the mentally very fast moving pace of life in Malaysia, people parents are pressured into the students into studying, and not interfere with any other political parties or activism activities, that because majority parents are looking forward for the children to study and excel. And when they excel, then when they get older, then they can start to be more mature, and more mature in the politics and so on. um, okay, while I get that uh, students or younger people are able to uh, be that, like they wanted to be a uh, to stand out of the other generations, because they feel like they have a voice too. But in terms of what they hold on, their perspective is that uh, everyone should listen to their voice, to the younger generation's voice, uh, and that can lead to a really rough spot, because younger generations are demanding for more and more stuff. And yeah, this is really not good for because young people aren't capable enough to be uh, political, and uh, yeah, without any political without any repercussions. That's it. Thank you. Um,
Next, I would like to invite the second speaker of the government, Gopuran Singh anak lelaki Ahmad Singh, to deliver his perspective.
Can you guys hear me? Hello, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
All right. Good evening, everyone. I'm Gurpran Singh, the second speaker of the government. Okay. The first speaker of the opposition team said that the government before this has said that same-sex marriage is not allowed, this and that, and by law that same-sex marriage um, should not happen and cannot happen. Okay, this is exactly why students should be involved in the activism and the government to change this law, as it is not fair to everyone, as everyone is not built the same. Okay, some may have feelings for men, Some may have feelings for females. Some may have feelings for both, and some may have feelings for none. So everyone is built different. Everyone have their own stance in life. So who are you to make a decision and make someone carry out social and to carry out social stereotypes? Okay, in my opinion, student activism or involvement of student in politics should be allowed without any consequences. This is because students are very open-minded and more understanding compared to the old folks in the government. Students respect the truth and prioritize fairness, whilst the old government folks prioritize image than equality. Students are more woke towards gender equality, same-sex marriage, race discrimination, and so on. Student values different cultures and religion and does not prioritize one religion over another. They follow the truth whilst keeping everyone unoffended and satisfied. My second point is why student activism and involvement should be allowed is because it brings out courage in the new generation. The new generation will be able to stand for what's right and not just follow the social current. They will be able to stand against big committee for what's wrong and standing against the social stereotypes. When something has been done for years, although it's been done for years, if it's not right, then it's not right at all. To change something that's been done for years, it takes a lot of courage and a lot of hard work, because not everything that has been there in our law is right. Okay. For example, the first speaker of the opposition team has gave one example that same-sex marriage not allowed. So that is one of the that's one of the rules that students should be yeah.
If you said that not everything in law that is correct, which type of law rules are you talking about?
Okay. I'm just going to give the example that you gave, the one where same-sex marriage is not allowed. Okay. As I already said it in the earlier when I was rebutting your points. All right. So I was saying, if something has been done for years, if it's not right, it's not right. Okay, it takes a lot of courage and a lot of work to go through this current and cause a change which is actually beneficial and keeping everyone unoffended and satisfied. Furthermore, that is all for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Bro Singh. Then, may I call upon the second speaker of the team, Ali bin Shahrizal, to present her speech.
Hello. Okay, good evening, everyone. I'm Sarah Alicia. I'm from the opposition side. And I have to say that we do believe that young generation have the voice and right to speak. But we also believe that students shouldn't be involved in the politics. And I very much agree with that. You know why? Because knowing how we are just students and our only priority is to study, the knowledge of the law and the politics in this world is just very much, it's very big and very stressful to think about. And knowing how we only need to think about just certain stuff that we need to get through at a certain stage of our life, politics is not one of them. Like politics should be the last thing in our mind right now. So students shouldn't be that stressed out about their knowledge about politics, and they should be arguing about it with their friends or with their family, even if they pick out the right politics team or something like that. Speaking about that, students like us, we're also considered as too young to be acknowledging or to be very much informative about this politics, knowing how we're supposed to not be too concerned about it. Instead of thinking and stressing out about the outside world, the politics in this case, we should just experience the life of its own with our own experience, instead of just wanting to revolve around the politics world. Because not gonna lie, politics are quite dirty, and all of it is, so we don't want to get involved in it, right? So as I was saying, students, we should be focusing on studying, and that's my point that I wanna emphasize. Students should be studying more, and we should just be studying for our degree or our masters or something, instead of just wanting, oh, I don't want to study anymore. I want to make it right for the world. I want to change the law. I want to be like how Said Sadiq is, because like how he's the same age as ours, not that kind of age gap, but he's in our era. So in a way, we just say, I want to be like Said Sadiq. I wanna legalize gay marriage. I wanna legalize or the those sexual things, and I don't really know about, but yeah, things like that. And honestly, being that liberal is good, nor is it bad. It's both. But I'm not gonna get deep into it because we're just gonna talk about politics, and we're not gonna talk about equality. It's two different things, okay? So, okay. Speaking of students, they can range into different ages, but we're just gonna talk about our era. Our era is about from 12 or 18, like us, 19, 20-ish or something. So we are still considered as children to those who are 40 years old, 50 or something. So they still think about, oh, I'm in university right now. Oh no, you're still a children. You're still a child for us. Your mind is still developing in a way of which you're not supposed to think about that deep into politics. So we should be that involved in that part of our life about politics. Speaking about politics in the US, knowing how Joe Biden won and Kamala is the vice president, it has taken a toll to literally everyone here, right? Everyone must know about what happened there. And now the Twitter community has been too sensitive about the topics, about how Joe Biden is just not as, it's just the same as how Trump is, blah, blah, blah. And to be honest, it's really stressing to think about, right? Like, we all should be worried about the things that are happening in the outside world, but knowing how stressful it is, it has taken a toll on us, and we're not supposed
PI,
to.
madam, miss, madam, sorry, sir.
Yes.
Sorry. Uh, so I'd like to give a PI here. So how can you not be concerned about your future? How can you not be concerned about the politics of the current politics, if your future depends on it? Sure, they might be they are the new government. So what if the government increases the fees? Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, so I'm not saying that I'm not concerned of the future of the politics right now, but I'm just thinking about the responsibility that we have now. Our responsibility is to what now? To study, right? Are you gonna be the next? I don't know. I'm not planning on becoming one of the Supreme Court's politics and stuff, but I'm just saying how we should be more responsible to what we are supposed to do now. instead of thinking and stressing about, oh, I don't want to study anymore. There's no couldn't attain me anymore. So what I'm trying to say here is that students shouldn't be that much involved in politics. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Sarah Halisha. Now, let's welcome the third speaker from the government, Pascal Lesgani, to deliver his argument.
Hello. Okay. Salutations to the chairperson, the accurate timekeepers, my loyal teammates, and worthy opponents. Today, as the side of the government, I would like to rephrase again on the stand that we are currently on, and which is that we believe that involvement of students in politics should be allowed without any consequences. And we believe that, and yes, we agree to this notion. And in this evening, I will only do one thing, and that is to rebut what the first and second speaker have just mentioned in their earlier speeches. So now I would like to begin with, firstly, from the first speaker, when he mentioned about students or the young people of this world aren't able to think critically and are not matured enough. Well, when you mention this point, right after that, you mentioned again that in Malaysia, it is currently facing a fast-moving pace in our lives in societies. So doesn't that mean that people are getting matured faster? Or to be clear, the students? And I would like to talk more about this because the way you mention it, that students should join directly to these politics events. We never mentioned that we said that uh, students should involve their life in politics. So at first, maybe students can start with little things like by joining like debate, spelling bee, or any competition that are literature based. This will be the groundwork for students to go to the path of politics. And the second speaker, you mentioned that the government is dirty, and yeah, that is the problem that we are facing right now. The government is filled by this. You can say they are these loathing old peoples with their minds filled with these old-fashioned mindsets. They are totally out of date, and that is the main reason why we need young bloods, students like us to be more into this particular set, yeah, like politics. Yeah. Well, maybe you can feel it right now too. Like around in Malaysia, there will be people that are feeling attacked, like their rights are snatched from them. Like a good example will be the people in Sabah. Yeah, I'm from Sabah. We felt the total, to say, we can say at a period of times we are betrayed by the government. So that is why we need people. We need young people. Like for example, when Sheikh Sadiq take his post as the Kementerian Belia and Sukan, kan you gotta agree that we can feel this like attachment, like, oh, I can vibe with this thing. Because why? Because we have one thing in common, and that is he is young and we are young. So and that is why we need people like this to be our voices, to be the voices of this young generation in our countries. And for that, that is why we think that the government will win in this debate. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Pastus. Next, I would like to invite the third speaker from the opposition team, Tiffany Anna Rosali, to present her point of view.
Okay, good evening, everyone. I'm the opposition whip for the opposition team and would like to elaborate more on our arguments and rebut the preposition teams. For today's motion, student activism in politics should be allowed without any consequences, and our opposition team would like to disagree with that. Why? Because basically students from the age of 18 to 24 were actually not really exposed to the political situation, and even if we do, we wouldn't ponder too long about it because our job right now, our task, like our second speaker said, is to focus on studying first. Because students, for us, like it's easy to say, like us, we should be furthering our studies to develop any vital skills in life first. And if they're well equipped with these skills, they will probably have the chance to change maybe the society's opinion. But I would say that it's really risky because we're having the younger generations are having a very hard time right now to express our opinions. Why? Because we don't really have a room for that because most majority would say that we're not very experienced of what the world is currently happening. And I would like to rebut the prime minister's in the preposition team. He said that university students like us are very creative and innovative and all of that, etc. But then, don't you think it would be too risky for them to present their opinions or ideas? Because sometimes our opinions or ideas could be unrealistic. And also, sometimes younger generations exaggerate an actual situation. Because, I mean, who doesn't want attention, am I right? Because, like, especially when we're young, we like to gain attention from everyone, like from people around us. And also, I would like to rebut the second speaker from the preposition team. He says that courage, I mean, no, because activism brings courage. I mean, yes, it does bring courage. But what if the courage brings a negative impact to the society? Because, like I said, we're very like we're easily influenced by our emotions because we're still young and we're still learning something new every single day. So why not students study the fundamental skills of fundamental subjects in this high school years or in their college years to master the skills in life in order for them to pursue anything that they want, including politic world, to gather no to finally understand like how the government or how the politic world is in a real life. Not just because, I mean, like the second speaker said, maybe politic world is kind of dirty because they play a lot of tricks and or maybe some, I don't know, it's just very negative topic like overall. Also, for the third speaker, I would like to rebut the third speaker opinions. Students should not revolve their life around politics first, because rather than spending their time talking about something or voicing their opinion that might makes everyone rethink about their decision in life, it would be best if they manage their time in their younger years to study something that's maybe related to politics, and to make it more stable and make it more refined of that skill itself or of the subject itself. Because in my opinion, politic world is not as easy as it looks like. We cannot just directly say, I mean, I wish it was like this. I want to change the world's perspective on something, on certain things. Because for me, it would be better if the students right now from the ages maybe from 18 to 24 to stay put and study the politic world first, to get insights of that, to know, to scrape any important informations that, or even take some examples from other countries, like how they actually build a very peaceful, very, it's just better government, how to say, government, how government should be built. Yes, because if they're doing something that could harm their image, this would affect the other generations, the upcoming generations too, because basically the older, no, obviously the younger generations before us would how to say, would compare from the older and the younger generation. So I believe that, I actually agree that if our voices are gathered, it will make an impact. Yes, I agree. But however, if one does a silly mistake for being too personal for some serious matter, things could turn out not the way it should be. So the opposition team are truly and greatly state that student involvement in politics should not be allowed, because this can create more ruckus instead of improvements. Thank you.
Thank you, Tiffany. So now we are into the final phase of the competition. May I call upon the first speaker of the government, Jessvigil Qwency Leong, to deliver his reply speech.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, the timekeeper and the honorable judges. As the fourth speaker of the government side, I will sum up the debate for this evening. But before that, let me quickly talk about the topic of the debate. Scholars in political science, political sociology, and the sociology of higher education have investigated the different dimensions of students' involvement in politics for more than half a century. Students continue to be active in politics. Students are fairly easy to mobilize and they often have a basic interest in political and social issues. And we, the government team, agree on the statement. To start summarizing up everything, let me point out the rebut from the opposition team. The first speaker of the opposition team had said that students are not capable in giving morally ideas. Not to say that it is wrong, but if we look on the other side of the view, students are educated. That's why they were called students. They would think of better and proper ideas to voice out and fight for, not the ones that are going to cause more problems in the politics. The second speaker of the opposition had said that students' priority is to study and not thinking about the politics. I don't find this point to be realistic enough because as students we are growing much more matured with the education we studied. But when there were issues regarding with our future that involve with the government, then we should be concerned of the politics too. And that speaker had mentioned that students are not exposed in the political world. Her point here was slightly unconvincing because students may certainly be inspired by social movement or political situations external to the campus. Students can create discursive spaces for the ideas they raise, where they can be exposed to the political issues slowly but surely. They are not compulsory to make a change to the world in a short time. I'm sorry? No, thank you. And by this, I can say that my team won the case. As our first speaker had said earlier, the young can be the new voice of the country. We can't doubt on his points because it was true, as students are more creative in solving problems and they have more progressive ideas in giving opinions to the government. Younger generations would be more aware of what the government are doing to the country and avoid the government to unleash a brutal and tragic massacre to the country. Next, our second speaker mentioned that students are very open-minded and understanding. No, thank you. He has better point of view than the opposition team, as students are aware of what should and shouldn't be done to the country. They are better in knowing what's right and wrong and have more courage to fight for what is right. They can serve as crucible for forging of new thoughts, ideologies, and as catalysts for social and political changes, and also accept each culture. And lastly, our third speaker said that student activism has positive outcomes towards cleaning the dirty work of the country. His points are convincing, as young people like us students has the right to be recognized in expressing dissent. Students are constructing ideas and perspectives that may one day provide solution to some of our nation's most urgent and complex dilemmas. To conclude, student political activism is a highly complex, multifaceted phenomenon. It is very difficult to explain and even more problematic to predict. It is not surprising that there is no overarching theoretical explanation for it. Yet, understanding the configurations of student activism in politics is important. Ladies and gentlemen, I will end my speech here. Thank you.
Yeah.
Can you guys?
Would you like for speaker from team Bradley to present her replies?
Can you guys hear me? Is it clear? All right. Okay, so as the last speaker, I wish to change the mindset of yours, even if it's last minute. We do believe that students have the voice and right to speak. However, we also believe that students should not be involved in politics. Good evening, IB to all. Yes, without further ado, students have the right to vote. They even have the platform to vote or to speak up, right? But for them to involve in some sort of any political activities, that doesn't seem right. Why? I do wish and I have the hope that young generation can understand the impact of national policies. However, at the age of 21, not everyone can get the experience of being financially stable or even responsible for their own healthcare. At this very age, they can get influenced very easily, especially from the social media. On our side, we do the power of social media are beyond our control. Hence, we couldn't control their pursuit for their own choice of certain politics party. And let's say that they're already exposed to this certain topic on social media. And did you know that social media will only expose the current issue that they have searched or even explore? Thus, they will only be exposed to one side of the story. And let's think about the consequences if students involved in politics. For example, as they don't have enough knowledge about politics, just like our second speaker have said that the politics could be dirty. Why? The desperate politic parties will use the young generations to get votes. When men get desperate, they'll do anything for their own greed. We are trying to protecting these young generations for their own future. This is why we think that they are not ready for making a rational decisions because they don't have the enough knowledge or exposed about politics for them to be involved. Like the last speaker of the government team has said that all students are exposed to this political stuff. But may I ask what world you live in? Because we have students that live in rural areas. They are not exposed to these certain issues. They're not exposed to this trend or have the news. So how about them? Please acknowledge more about this. We need to make every student, not just Can you guys hear me? Can you guys hear me? Okay, is it clear? Okay, so like I said, we need to acknowledge also to the students that live in the rural areas. And again, our team believe that sure, young generations have the voice and the right to speak up. But for them to involve in some sort of political stuff, we are not there with the consequences that comes with it. And that is all from me. Thank you.
Thank you, Ratna Rafina. With that, all the speakers from both government and opposition team have their arguments. Good job, everyone. The result will be announced before the final starts. Please for Christmas official measure. And that's the end of our video. I want to apologize for the inconvenience throughout this lecture.